Mics are hot and the boys are here. Welcome to the Lore Boys. I'm your host, Ethan Palmer. Joining me today is
James Miller and
Peter O'Donohue.
We're the Lore Boys. We talk about lore. This is a podcast.
With the two S's. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it would be Lore Boy. But Jamie and I are here, so it's boys.
because they add a little.
We're on
You know what I'm
brand.
saying?
Yeah. Licks finger, touches iron for hiss noise.
yeah.
No, I'm touching this mic because these mics are hot.
Boom.
Yeah, so we're a podcast that talks about fake history. As our tagline would imply, fake history is the best history. And today we're going to be talking about one of my personal favorites, Magic the Gathering, and an upcoming Dungeons and Dragons setting, the Plane of Theros. So the last I don't know if it was the last expansion or 2 expansions ago now in Magic the Gathering, but in January, a new Theros set released, Theros Beyond Death. And now they're releasing a D&D source book for the Plane of Theros, D&D being Dungeons and Dragons. So I thought we'd do a little skim off the top of what Theros is and talk about a story from the plane itself.
We have a older episode, like probably a year and a half at this point, about a D&D Magic crossover for Ravnica as well, if anyone is interested in that.
Yeah, so similar concept. It was a well-established place in the Magic the Gathering canon, and Wizards was like, we could pay people to write new stuff, or we could just use this old stuff that we have across, various places. So they went with the cheaper option, I guess the more efficient option, maybe we should say. But I'm personally pretty excited about it. So let's jump in. Do you guys only know what I've told you, I assume. So why don't you guys set up Theros for us? This is a test to see if you actually listen to me.
You said it was D&D, because I asked once, and then you wrote it down in Discord. And you said it's like... it's D&D, but if D&D was ancient Greece.
That's exactly.
I absolutely don't listen to you. So
Good. Well, you passed the test, Jamie. Peter, you failed.
Damn it.
So
the pass or fail was whether you don't listen to Ethan.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody should be listening to me.
It was a trick question.
So Theros is a plane in Magic the Gathering. We've talked about it a lot before. If anybody remembers our past Magic the Gathering episodes, for the new listeners, we have a ton that explain it in more depth. But Magic the Gathering is set in a multiverse where each plane has its own flavors, and there's an infinity of them, all that good stuff. So this one is the ancient Greek setting, basically.
I'm a fan of the fake cinnamon flavor, personally.
Yeah, exactly. The fake cinnamon plane.
Yeah. Oh, dude, give me those Valentine's hearts, man. All day.
Ancient Greek just seems like kind of boring compared to the other ones. A land of Phyrexian horrors.
Yeah.
Greece.
Yeah. Come on, could they at least do ancient Rome?
I got Assassin's Creed Odyssey for free recently.
There you go.
It's 111 gigs, so I haven't installed it. That's all I know.
You got Assassin's Creed Odyssey, so you should know everything about this plane.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody fucks goats, if that game is to be believed, or at least the 8 seconds of gameplay I've seen from it.
So anybody who remembers way far back to our God of War episode would know that we know very little about actual ancient Greece. But I do genuinely enjoy researching these episodes because it's always fun to kind of like tie it to real life history. So Theros is a plane. It's one of mighty heroes, meddling gods, powerful monsters, and beautiful Mediterranean seascapes. It's inspired specifically by Hellenic Greece, so think Helen of Troy. The word Theros is an ancient Greek word, which I'm sure Peter is familiar with. Peter, you want to take a crack at it?
Nope. Something world?
It means summer. So
sure.
I guess it's perpetually ancient Greek summer in Theros. We can surmise.
Is the first day of summer in June or in May?
It's in June.
Okay, so
June 20th.
Theros is June 21st.
Could be, yeah. The equinox is like the 20th or the 21st, something like that.
God willing, we'll be allowed to go outside at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I was looking up Theros, and they were like it's not confirmed by Wizards of the Coast where Theros comes from. So somebody was like, "Oh, Theros is actually an ancient Greek word for summer." I was like, "Oh, that makes a lot of sense that they would name the plane that, you know?" And then somebody else was like, "It could also be a portmanteau of the heroes." I was like, "That's fucking stupid," and it's not that. Like, that's the most childish thing I've ever heard.
Because then it would be Veros or whatever, and that's just ridiculous.
Yeah. That was very funny. And if whoever made that edit on the Magic the Gathering Wikipedia Gamepedia page, I apologize, but I don't like your guess.
Your hot take is lukewarm at best and stupid, and I hate it.
Yeah. So the plane of Theros is governed by the gods of Nyx. Nyx is the name for like the night sky of the plane. So much like in
Nyx is a Greek mythology thing as well.
Oh yeah, well there's one that I didn't take the time to look up.
NYX.
Yep.
Yeah.
So maybe it's correlates to the sky as well. I'm not sure, but it's the night sky, so it's where the constellations are, and we know from our ancient Greek classes in high school that the constellations is, you know, you can find the gods in them, like you find
Orion, crab, two fish, centaur.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
The big spoon,
Adamant
the little
men.
spoon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, two spoons.
There's a goose, I think, Cygnus. There's Cassiopeia. That sounds Greek.
Yeah, it's Cassiope. It's just like Persephone.
So Nyx is defined by mankind's. Theros is defined by mankind's struggle against the primal forces of the world and mankind's conflict with the many other sapient races that populate the world. So in ancient times, Theros was ruled by powerful beings known as archons. These archons once held a massive empire, tyrannizing the world in the belief that it was their responsibility to impose strict justice.
Are these these are the legally distinct titans, basically?
No, so there are titans. These guys actually come after the titans. We're going to dip back into the titans in a bit. But this is kind of like the dawn of more human civilizations, where after the titans were beaten back by the gods and everyone was left to their own, you get these like heroes, kind of like Achilles would have been an archon in Theros, because they're just heroes that become so powerful that they're able to just like command people.
So it's like Hercules and that caliber of a legendary person, basically.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Jason with his sheepskin, you know.
Yeah, the golden fleece.
Mm-hmm.
And all his he defeated all the stop motion skeletons, so they deified him.
Yeah. So the archons are tyrants. They think that it's their job to ensure justice is meted out. The most notable of these archon tyrants was Agnomachos. So we're in ancient Greece now.
Yeah.
He used the Leonin as an army. The Leonin are cat people, but really like buff cat people. They're like lion people.
Is this the same universe as the backwards hands cat people, or is that a different thing?
That's specifically a D&D thing, and their Rakshasas are from the Nine Hells. They're born in hell. You can't kill a Rakshasa unless you kill it on its home plane in hell. Eventually, sorry, what was that?
Like, just from their perspective, that would usually you think of home as a place of comfort. For them, they would never want to go home.
Yeah, right?
That's where you die. Yeah,
that applies to all devils in the D&D canon, right?
Wow.
Would you need to sell 4 different kinds of scissor? Because you've got like lefty scissors, righty scissors, but then you've got upside down righty and upside down lefty scissors. Like Ned Flanders.
That's the only way they could possibly work, right?
But they're okay to run with them everywhere except for when they're at home. So don't run with scissors when you're at home.
Yeah,
if your hands are upside down, you risk stabbing someone else, I think, is how that would work.
Unless you have the upside down ones.
If you have an upside down pair of scissors, it's totally dangerous.
Rakshasas were created by Wizards of the Coast to sell more scissors. That's a Lore Boys canon for you.
By Big Scissor.
Yeah. I mean, Hasbro probably owns Big Scissor, right? So, and Hasbro owns Wizards of the Coast. So.
Yeah, it's either Hasbro or Brazzers.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Very good. So eventually, that Archon Empire would fall. Instead, so afterwards, it's replaced by polis, which do you guys know what the ancient Greek word polis means, or polis?
Many something?
Means city, like metropolis.
Polis, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the plural of that, which I had known polis, I did not know that there was a plural of it, which is poleis, which is police, I guess. So metropolis would be many metropolises.
Okay. This separate thing, because the root of octopus is Greek. To my knowledge, the plural of octopus is octopodes.
Mm-hmm. Or octopuses, if you want to make it English. Yeah. But not octopi, because that would be a Latin root, and it's not a Latin word.
And that would be racist, thinking that they're all the same.
Exactly. Come on.
Yeah.
Rome is nothing. Ancient Rome was nothing like ancient Greece. Come on, guys.
It's not basically the exact same people.
Just a carbon cutout. Like.
You just swap blue for red, and you're just like, there we go, different.
Yeah. So the Archon Empire does fall. It's replaced by cities. Basically, there's 3 main cities in Theros, with like smaller ones or whatever. But the remaining Archons, they still attack these cities quite often, mostly because they're crybabies and they feel it was unfair that their honor was stripped by them from humans. Like it's like, it's not fair. We were once in charge, and now we're not in charge anymore. So they're still a threat to the plane, but not like a huge threat.
Are they the like barely name changed Athens, Sparta, and like Thebes?
Yeah, I don't. They're not barely name changed. It's like Miletus is one. I know that's like I think that the capital, or like the main city, I'd say, or the city of most good. There's 3 main cities basically. I didn't write them down because it's not super important. So the Archons stand apart even from the gods of the plane. They serve a force they deem higher. They say justice is more important than worship, which I can kind of get behind. But
yeah, there's a good kernel. There's probably, from what I understand about most of the fiction that we cover, is like every idea starts in a good place.
Yeah, exactly.
And eventually goes completely off the rails into tyranny and destruction.
It's horribly, horribly executed. So before the Archons, before even the gods of Nyx rules, can you guys guess who was in charge of making Theros? You already kind of touched on it. So indeed,
was it Karn?
What's that?
Was it Karn, or like one of the planeswalkers who had created, or like?
No, you guys guessed it already, and you've.
Oh, was it the Titans?
The Titans, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So thousands of years before the gods would arrive, the primordial Titans manifested primal forces and desires made real, would scour the burgeoning world, leaving horrible devastation behind them.
Okay.
So they were bad. The Titans. Titans are playable cards in the M13 Magic set, and Titans is like so. Magic the Gathering cards, creature cards, have like subclasses. So you can have the God subclass, and you could have the Archon subclass, and you could have the Titan subclass.
Oh, okay, cool. That's like where it says like legendary - beast on a card or something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So it would say legendary creature - God, legendary creature - Titan, or just creature - Titan.
Yeah.
And so gods, Titans, and Archons none of them are unique to Theros. There's different sets which have versions of Archons and versions of Titans and versions of gods. Theros does have its own. So at the time, there's like these massive Titans who just rampage through the plane. They fuck shit up. They don't care for your rules, Peter. They don't play fair.
I'm not going to stand for that sort of shit, because you guys know I say it at the beginning of this episode and at the beginning and end of every other episode. I'm a stickler for the rules.
That is true. Yeah,
he says it.
He does say it, and you know what? He sticks to it.
It's consistency is my game.
So if let's say for a second, James, you were human, okay?
All right.
You have fire.
Sounds uncomfortable already, but
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's extremely uncomfortable. Okay, so you're human. You're fleshy. You're small. You have to eat to live.
Your hair's getting a little long.
Your hair's getting a little long. You can't really go outside very much anymore. Even go to the grocery store is a big pain. You're left with fire and pointy sticks to defend yourself from these like towering Leviathan titans. Okay, you realize the fire and the pointy sticks aren't doing it. What do you do? What's your defense here to oust these rabble rousers?
I think I'd just run away. I'd probably run away.
Okay, fear's one response. Peter, would you do something different?
In an effort to move the plot forward here, I would like to probably make a deal with some sort of demon from another dimension to come in and solve my problems, and then likely rule over me with an iron fist following that.
Okay, well, I like the guesses. Both wrong.
What about, is it like Gulliver's Travels, where they team up, or I don't know if I said the right thing, but it's all the little people like trip the giant, and then like who is actually just Gulliver, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say the giant is Gulliver.
So when you have your backs up against the wall, with all powerful towering monsters destroying your crops and murdering your families, you don't run away. You don't make deals with devils, Peter. You turn to the obvious answer, prayer. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It was from the prayer of the mortal races of Theros that the gods themselves sprang forth. So the gods didn't exist until people just wished so hard that they did.
Oh, it's kind of like Malazan, where the power of the god is how many followers they have, kind of thing.
Yeah, for any of our listeners who've read the Malazan series, is exactly that. Like you're stronger the more people who worship you, and if you're just a mortal man who enough people truly worship, you can kind of ascend.
Yeah, and a god dies when its last follower forgets his name.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think the show on Amazon Prime, American Gods, follows something like that, but I've only seen one episode so far.
Could be. I've heard very good things. It's also a book series. I know that.
Yeah, it's Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
He has like a lot of weird religious TV shows on Amazon Prime. He also had Good Omens, which is fucking terrible, for the record.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've heard good things about American Gods. So yeah, it was thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers is the obvious defense against.
They all changed their Facebook profile picture.
Yeah.
And it worked out for them.
Yeah.
You've got the Zeus filter on Facebook, and he gets so much more powerful.
Okay, so let's talk about the gods. I guess the important ones. So first, there's 5 major deities. There's at least 10 lesser deities. So I'm gonna name. We're gonna play a fun little mini game here. Okay. I'm gonna name the deity. You guys are gonna tell me
the Greek counterpart.
Well, first tell me what you think it's the god of, and then tell me the Greek counterpart.
Okay.
So first one, god of gods, Heliod.
Okay.
Zeus,
that's
lightning.
Easy. Zeus, the
lightning
sun.
Zeus.
The Greek Helios, god of the sun.
Yeah. Okay. Frick.
Nice try.
Okay, so they switched the god, or they switched rank, because Zeus is god of gods, and he does. He's god of lightning or something. But
we don't know anything about Zeus yet. We only know about Heliod.
But Heliod being the leader, and his analog being Helios, god of the sun, means they changed that. So now I know it's not a direct parallel.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's definitely different.
Okay.
Even just like the major deities, there's one here who's a major deity who you really wouldn't think would be a major deity.
Okay.
So number 2, Thassa.
Oh, that's the water one, because what's thalassophobia?
Thalassophobia.
So is afraid of deep waters, so that would be of the seas. And
so that would be Poseidon in that case.
Poseidon.
And you guys nailed it. 2 points. Erebos.
Oh, Erebus is something evil, so that is death. So it's either Thanatos or Hades.
Good job, Peter. It is the god of death. I would say it's more similar to Thanatos because he's not. There is like a shepherd of the dead, or a steward of the dead in Theros, but he's a lesser deity, and that would be Sharon. More similar to Hades, right?
Yeah, that's Sharon in Hades is like a different thing. Sharon like works for him. I don't really know. Sharon or Karen. It's Charon. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Hey, Sharon.
Hey, Sharon.
It's Pain and Panic from
yeah.
Exactly. Oh, dude, I love them.
Yeah. Karen and Sharon.
Their haircuts.
Yeah. Perforos.
Say it again.
Perforos. This is the one that doesn't really, I wouldn't have thought would be a major deity, but in this one is.
He pokes really little holes into things.
That's a good guess.
Oh yeah,
lets
he's
things seep through.
Yeah, he's god of spaghetti, and would be the analog of Calandros.
Okay, I don't know if Calandros is actually the Greek god.
It's not. That's just a Greek-sounding bastardization of colander.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I have no idea.
No, it'd be you said it earlier, the Persephone or whatever.
Persephone? No, it's not the. She's not a Greek god.
She's not a god. Yeah.
And she's a character in a fable. Really.
I wanted to get a perfect score. We fucked it up. All right.
Well, you guys also fucked up Heliod and comparing him to Zeus. So
yeah. No.
So he's the god of the forge. You guys.
Yeah,
know
it's
the Greek counterpart.
I remember the god of war. His daughter.
Hephaestus. Yeah.
He built the labyrinth. His daughter is the hot one.
Could be.
Aphrodite is the hot one.
Yeah, isn't she the daughter of?
Hey! All women are beautiful.
No. You're right.
I hope she listens to this, bro.
I remember in God of War, you have to
rescue Hephaestus. He's
crunched over.
Don't you? Isn't that mission involve Hephaestus and Pandora?
Oh, is it Pandora? I thought you had to go see Aphrodite, and then you have the sex minigame. And
Aphrodite's
then you go
a god,
back.
though.
Aphrodite is a god.
Yeah,
I thought it was
god
the daughter of him. Damn. All my Greek stuff comes from Disney's Hercules and God of War, so I don't know a lot.
Last of the major deities, Nylia.
Is it of the night? Is it of the night?
No,
Nyx is the night sky. I don't know. Nylia, I'm gonna say, is she like fucking? Oh, wait a second. Is she Wisdom and Athena?
No, the god of pantyhose, like nylon.
Oh, yes.
She's the goddess of the hunt.
Oh, I see.
The Greek comparison would be?
Nidalee.
No, that's from League of Legends, James.
Damn.
I don't actually know that one. I don't know the god of the hunt.
Artemis.
Oh, okay.
Artemis Fowl.
Exactly. Because he was a hunter, right?
Nylon.
And he hunted birds. And
his dad that was missing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just like all of us. So these are the five major ones that spring forth once enough people smash that like button on Facebook.
Okay, can you say them all again? Just because I was so wrapped up in guessing that I forget.
Heliod.
We really don't need to remember them anyway. I just thought this was a fun little mini game to play.
I want to know them anyway.
Heliod, god of the sun. Thassa, god of the sea. Erebos, god of death. Perforos, god of the forge. And Nylia, goddess of the hunt.
Okay,
cool.
So these five major deities came a slew of lesser deities, 10 at least, like I said before.
It's a very utilitarian belief society where they're just like sun, build, hunt, water, die.
Yeah,
it's all just like very tangible things that people started believing in, and then you just get a god out of it. That's a pretty good deal.
It covers most of the bodily functions too, other than just going to the bathroom. Like you're eating, you're drinking, you're sleeping,
I mean, presumably that's why they're the major deities, is because they're just like the basic functions you need to survive, right?
The day-to-day, yeah.
Like hunt is food, forge is like shelter, death comes for us all. The sea, I don't know, probably need to like fuck on water at some point. The sun, it's good.
The sun comes up and goes down, and when it goes down, you can fuck in the pool, which is where those two intersect. Definitely.
Exactly. The sun grows deer, so yeah. You guys know what deer sound like, right? So James and Peter were watching videos of deers making calls before we started this podcast.
Jamie sent it to me, to be fair.
There's a Twitch advisor who identifies as a deer who has all these crazy ideas about removing voice chat from video games, and Twitch is endorsing this person. And so we were watching reaction videos of that, and someone said she reacts to Canute's clip, but it's just a picture of a deer screaming, or a video of a deer screaming, and anyways, Twitch is all messed up. I wish that this happened last week when we were talking about Twitch stuff.
Yeah, god damn it.
So imbued with the overwhelming power of thoughts and prayers, the gods of Theros were able to beat back the Titans eventually. They confined them to the underworld. The lesser deity Clothis, goddess of fate and destiny, sequestered herself with them voluntarily to ensure that they remain trapped for all time.
So bless my soul, Herc was on a roll.
Yeah. Okay. He went from 0 to hero. Okay.
Just like that.
Hero.
So that's 15 gods accounted for at the very least. But I want to talk a bit now about the birth of a new god, a real up-and-comer named Xenagos.
Is that Zeus?
So that's not Zeus, no. As far I didn't even think to look for a Zeus counterpart, but I didn't see any like god of lightning.
Is it Xeno or Xenagos? Is it a dude or a chick?
I couldn't tell you if it's a dude or a chick based purely on that, but it's Xenagos and it's a dude.
Oh,
it's the god of Xenoblade Chronicles.
Yeah, exactly.
It's something. It would be something strange because Xeno is like other or weird or whatever, which is why it's like the Latin for a space alien.
Okay, yeah. Like xenophobe is somebody who's scared of immigrants, right? Or
of the other. The xenomorph is the alien and alien. Yeah, I mean it would be immigrants in our context on the planet Earth, but Xeno I think just means other.
Okay. Well, this is Xena, so I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
it means other.
I think it's a gendered thing, like the O and the A. It means what? Sorry.
Other.
Instead of other. Yeah.
I hate immigrants, not immigrants.
Yeah. So Xenagos was born a satyr.
Okay.
So what do you guys know about satyrs? And
James, kill them.
James, you've seen Disney's Hercules before, so
yeah, they're either Danny DeVito or they drop consumables I need in World of Warcraft. That's my experience with satyrs.
Okay, Peter, what do you know about satyrs?
They're mischievous. Some of them are very racist in Fantasia from the 40s, and they have little goat legs. They like to fuck, and they play a pan flute.
So you were so close to a perfect score. They do not have goat legs. What? So, contrary to popular depiction, and this was something that part of my real life ancient Greece research. The goat legs of a satyr is a strictly Roman addition. So Roman satyrs had goat legs. Greek satyrs did not.
Did they
Greek satyrs were simply men with the ears and tail of a horse.
Furries.
And a permanent exaggerated erection.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're the male opposite to a nymph. So the nymphs and the satyrs are the woodland orgy beasts.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is where you get Nymphomaniac.
Yeah. So
which was the late night Animaniac cartoon.
Nymphomaniacs and they and fuck.
They keep baloney in their slacks, you better believe it.
Their slacks aren't very slack, if you know what I mean.
So permanent exaggerated erection is a direct quote from Wikipedia.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, so they had permanent erections, and otherwise it was just horse ears and a horse tail. And
it's evolutionary because they sometimes like to sleep on cliffs, and that way they don't roll off of them in their sleep.
Oh, it's like a kickstand.
Yes.
Very good. I could see the point. Yeah.
So real life satyrs still comically hideous. They have mane-like hair, bestial faces, snub noses, always shown naked. Satyrs are characterized by their ribaldry and were known as lovers of wine, music, dancing, and women. They were companions of the god Dionysus. And were believed to inhabit remote locales such as woodlands, mountains, and pastures.
Yeah. Dionysus is straight up the god of hedonism, which is just anything taboo, and he's into it.
God of wine and parties.
Yeah.
So
hedonism bot from Futurama is basically Dionysus.
Yeah. So that's real life satyrs. On the magical plane of Theros, satyrs are kind of similar.
No
they're
boners,
hedonists.
I'm assuming.
They're hedonists. Presumably have boners, but you just never see it in the artwork. So not comically exaggerated.
Well, guys, I'm just about to claim my place among the pantheon of Magic the Gathering fan art heroes. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's. I think we found the episode art. Honestly, just a big dick on a goat, man.
Sharon and Karen following them around.
So in Theros, satyrs are hedonists that worship the god Perforos. Do you guys remember what Perforos is?
The smith.
Not the colander.
The
industrious one. Yeah.
Not, you're right, Jamie, not the colander.
It wasn't spaghetti. That was a goof by me.
Yeah. So Perforos is associated with creativity, artistry, and passion. So
I mean, you got to be creative if you actually truly want to be hedonistic. You can only do missionary and a handshake so many times.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
You gotta, you gotta get creative with it. That's how you end up with a Korean spine cruncher.
Or a Dutch Peter. Exactly.
That's the only sex move endorsed by the Lore Boys comedy podcast. So they would also occasionally honor Nylia, goddess of the forest and the hunt, but there was notably no Dionysus for them to worship. Theros satyrs, much like the Greeks, are depicted as playful, benevolent, joyful beings by the populace. Where Theros satyrs differ slightly from Greek satyrs is they are also mischievous, not that different. They're also malevolent hedonists that engage in violent revelries and enslave humans lured into their hedonistic cults.
Oh, the sirens, basically?
Unlike the satyrs from Greek mythology, they're both male and female also.
Guys, okay. But, most of these things come from like a place of realness. Like there's a thunderstorm, there must be a god of lightning. There's like the sea came in and swept things away. That there must be a god of the seas. But was there a guy with a huge boner and a cup of wine they found in the woods?
It was sure. It was for sure some guy like cheated on his wife. And like came home drunk after like a 2-week bender where he like punched the mayor and like set someone's like donkey cart on fire. It was like, oh no, I was possessed by the god of partying. It wasn't me. You see, and everyone was like, well,
tide goes out.
I don't like it, but
god of the ocean. I get too wasted and fuck up the town. God of parties. I am absolved. Yeah, it's just I admire. In retrospect, whoever that was, because if you could get a god created after like your absolute rager,
yeah, right,
yeah.
Well, the boys they all come back with the same excuse, right? They all go out together and then
I guess.
Yeah. Well, they check all their receipts, which of course in ancient Greece are carved onto huge tablets, and they're just like, hey. We need to get our story straight, guys. All right? Or else our wives, who aren't allowed to leave the house in ancient Greece, are going to be so mad at us.
I love the idea of everything being on a stone tablet. Like they go to a restaurant and they're like, all on one bill, and they're like, no, separate. And there's like 12 of them. The waiter just like rolls his eyes.
Yeah.
We lit up a And could you divide up the wine the wine pitcher? Oh yeah, of course. Tink! Yeah, he's got like the abacus to sort it out, and then he's got to carve it in.
Well, he splits the bill and he brings everyone their tablets. He's like, "Oh no, sorry, we wanted the wine split up by glass. Could you take these back and do that again?" The sun's coming up. Like,
you'd never be able to get away with not tipping because you would need to like. It's like, oh yeah, here there's a chisel and hammer in the dish with the tablet.
Exactly. You see someone leaving without chiseling anything, just like, oh, that's a bit in tip. So all this to say, kind of like sirens in that they would often enslave humans who came to party and drank a little too much of the Kool-Aid.
Okay. Yeah.
So humans would often visit the satyr homeland of Skola in search of endless pleasure without consequence.
Except for the whole being kidnapped and raped thing.
So yeah, but nobody ever seems to hear about that. People just hear. So like they're really painted by the populace as these like playful, benevolent, joyful creatures. You know, like hey, we just like live in the forest and fuck and have fun all the time. Doesn't that sound great? They're like army recruiters on a college campus.
It's a pretty standard cult. Really. Yeah. It's just like wow, this is so cool. I'm so glad that me, guy lacking self-confidence, has somewhere to go and be happy. And then it's just like. They keep telling me I can leave whenever I want, but I don't know how.
I don't know how to get home.
Yeah.
So the Satyrs actually host festivals called Rollick Nights in human cities, where the party is bumping, the wine flows freely, and the streets may get trashed, but things never get out of hand. So they throw these like huge ragers in human cities, and they just show them a good time. They don't enslave anybody, but they're just like, yeah, look how fun we are. Aren't we great? Isn't being in the army great, kids? And then things are a little different in Skola Valley. So the humans go to the valley, and they're courted, they're flattered, they're wooed. The humans enjoy some days and nights of just what they sought: music, dance, and ecstasy, without ever having to punch a time clock. Invariably, of course, the Satyrs' hospitality would give way to more devious of their desires. The Satyr wise men and women decide when the humans are ready for full initiation rites. Many humans volunteer for it, never knowing that the joke is on them, and that they are gifted crowns of broken horn, symbols of mockery. So they're basically like, the party's going on. They're like, yeah, who wants to do the full initiation now? And like all the drunk people are like, woo, yeah, that's me, man. I'm down for full initiation. What's that? Like a wet t-shirt contest?
It's a brand or something. And into the side of them. Yeah.
I mean, basically, they're like magically ensorcelled. They're like mind controlled, and then they're like, wear this stupid crown of broken horns and like shove this broomstick up your ass. And they're just like, okay, I guess. And they just live like that for a while. So once gifted the crowns, they become known as stubs. They're assigned menial, humiliating tasks while under the enchanting thrall of the satyr. So their job is like post-orgy cleanup, I guess.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, throw out all the... You got to launder the cum socks.
Yeah,
and all that shit. And of course, this being...
the tarp.
What was that?
Spray down the tarp.
Well, you got to flip it.
Hose down the tarp.
Yeah. Tarp's got two sides, so two uses. You only need to hose down the tarp 3 times a week.
Yeah.
I assume, not that I have any experience.
Yeah. The satyrs eventually do tire of the humans, and they'll leave them to awaken from their magic trance just far from like all the civilizations. So they'll just like walk them out into the woods and be like, okay, you're free now.
Oh shit! They've got their own version of waking up in like the Nevada desert with no pants on and no money, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's not naked and afraid; it's naked and ashamed. And
with a broken broomstick poking halfway out of your butt.
They wake up and they waddle back to town.
Naked and ashamed, the James Miller story. I can get behind that one.
I didn't want to spoil the fact that you had a book coming out before we announced it on our Patreon page, but okay.
So they're left to they wander back to human civilization. They fully remember all the cum socks that they cleaned up, all the services rendered unto them, and they remember it all. They see it all. They taste it all. They smell it all. And they realized that they were mind controlled. And the satyrs kind of rely on the fact that they're all too ashamed to tell them. So a lot of older humans would like go back to town and be like, "Oh no, you got to go to the satyr homeland. I had like so much fun there when I was your age, you know." And don't tell them that they were getting mind controlled because they're just too embarrassed.
Jesus.
So like people just keep doing it. And I read that. I was like, that's maybe the most realistic part of this story.
Yeah.
It's just like old guys. Oh, the college is the best days of your life, dude. You're gonna fucking love it there. And it's just hedonism, right?
Yeah, they just cut to that flashback of like the black and white helicopters in Vietnam, except it's just like a goat man orgy. It just like, half faded through like this 1,000-yard stare.
So Xenagos, the guy who we're talking about, maybe more than most satyrs, would play more into the malevolent aspects of satyrdom.
Oh, good.
One could argue that Xenagos' malevolence began in utero, when he killed his twin sister in their mother Race's womb, not tomb.
I was like, hang on.
That was dark. Well, both actually.
Yeah, it's the opposite of a tomb. Is a womb, of course.
That's where you get your skeleton, not where you leave your skeleton.
Exactly. So Rasa would eventually give birth, and during that birth, she would receive premonitions from Clothis, the goddess of fate and destiny.
Okay.
And she would note that her child had big things coming for him. He had excess destiny packed into him.
Not just the erection, but also like triumphs.
Yeah. Somebody when God was creating Xenagos, he misread the instructions. It said a teaspoon of destiny, that he accidentally put a tablespoon of destiny. So
Dang.
just ended up with way too much destiny.
Wow.
So unlike most satyr mothers, Reza decided to stick around and try and raise her offspring. So most satyrs of Theros simply got too horny too quickly to worry about their own kids.
Oh, they just bury the egg in a pile of dead leaves and let the decomposition keep it warm?
Yeah, I think it's like you hatch the egg or whatever and you feed it once or twice and you're like, okay, I'm off. But Reza was like, no, I'm in this for the long haul. She's like, this kid's going places,
I don't want my son to imprint on me.
What does an ostrich sound like if it wants to make an egg? Yeah, we watched those before the show too.
We're also looking up what sounds ostriches make before the show.
Sound check's a wild ride. We're just a trio of satyrs doing a sound check, all things considered.
So Reza is like, I'm going to stick around. I could probably use someone destined for such greatness for my own personal gain, which
or
is
to at least clean up around the house and sweep when I don't feel like it, because that's what my parents had kids for.
The object of all of humans having kids, right, is for personal gain. So why wouldn't it be for satyrs as well? Yeah. So this would prove challenging for the young single mother. Before even turning 6, Xenagos displayed reckless disregard for other life. He killed at least one other child before he turned 6, and turned the desperate Reza into an outlaw, as they were constantly on the run from persecution for his crimes.
Is persecution like from Persephone?
Yeah. It's another word for a colander.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Persephone was the god of springtime, autumn, and cops.
Yeah. bad boys.
Well, you got a license for those leaves?
Yeah. So I say he killed at least one other child before turning 6, and I said 6 because at 6, he starts trying to kill his own mother. He's like, you know what? I don't really like her either. Yeah. So he's like a fucked up, twisted little kid, a twisted fire starter, if you will.
He's a very Damien from The Omen sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So Reza, distraught, frightened, unsure of herself, turns to prayer to try and get insight. All she was given was visions of her son, the hated bastard, rising to challenge the very gods of Theros. So she's like, guys, I don't know if I can do this. My son's a fucking psychopath. Keeps trying to kill me. He's a little asshole. He's preying on me. Keeps beating me up.
God, go all over the place. I keep stepping on it, hurting my hooves.
Exactly. Gods, what can I do about this? They're like, yeah, this guy's going to be big. And she's like, okay, thank you, but that's not helpful. He's like, no, but seriously, he's going to be pretty cool later.
I love the fact that, like, the one parent in society who's just like, no, I'm going to raise my kid, ended up with a psychopath. She's like, oh, fuck.
With a Damien.
Yeah, should have gone to the orgy. They were right.
Yeah, that's it. You know how many fucking orgies I missed out? Right. You know how many orgies I missed out on for you, you little shit? Yeah. Maybe he's so fucked up because she didn't miss out on the orgies. She just took him to the orgies.
Oh, yeah.
He was like, no, I brought my kid. It's going to be fine. I'm raising him. Isn't that fun?
He ends up with like a hoof fetish.
Yeah. What do you mean you're raising him? I'm like, sticking around. Seeing what he's going to do.
Stand over there and face the wall, honey.
Yeah. Don't mind the smell. Don't touch that human. You don't know where he's been. So the two eventually do split. Xenagos was old enough at the time to take care of himself.
How fast did they age? Like people or like...
I don't know.
Without a deer, they age a hell of a lot faster.
Without the D&D source book out, I couldn't tell you. It might say in the D&D source book. It might not. I would love Satyr as a playable race in D&D. But we'll see.
Fuck up all your DM's plans by wanting to fuck everything.
Yeah, exactly. It's the perfect bard characters.
Yeah. All right, roll for stealth. Satyr, you get disadvantage because your boner's in the way.
Yeah.
Would you be able to pick locks with your boner if you had a high enough dexterity stat?
No.
It depends. You have to take the trait needle dick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The chode trait would you could just smash the lock off.
Yeah, so I have no idea how old he was. Okay. Lore Boys canon, I'm going to say he was like 6. He tried to kill his mother like once or twice. She was like, okay, that's enough raising children for me.
Yeah.
So I like to think of him as just like a capable little 6-year-old out in the world, like I'm going to go challenge the gods.
One of the little rascals. He's like alfalfa. He's got his little hair.
Yeah.
Like up in between his horns. Yeah. And he's going to go kill Zeus.
His hair is his boner, right?
That too, yeah.
Dick's on head. So
that's what Homer's thing is shortened to dough. Yeah.
Dicks on head.
Yes.
Homer, like the Greek,
Like the Odyssey.
Homer. Yeah.
Yep. It's all connected.
Simpsons predicted it.
So they always do. It's great.
Yeah. Troy, especially.
They predicted something that happened 4,000 years ago, or 3,000 years ago.
Nailed it.
So like the rest of the satyrs, Xenagos led the good life of pursuing vacuous thrills and cheap pleasures for a time. He's like, I'm 6 years old. I've only been to an orgy with my mom. Time for me to get out there and go to orgies solo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, or at least a couple of orgies with the boys.
Yeah, exactly. Those good years don't last forever. So
he kind of more reminds me of Alex from Clockwork Orange. Like, especially in the book where they're like very young, like 14, 15 or something like that, and just like hedonistic murderers.
Yeah, I've only seen the movie. I haven't read the book. They are very much hedonistic murderers.
Yeah.
In the movie, I haven't seen the book, but yeah, he's kind of just like he's doing the satyr thing for a while. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna go to orgies. I'm gonna go to parties. You go from orgy to party to demolition derby back to orgy. He's living his best life.
Yeah.
Somehow though, eventually, he starts to get bored. It's not very satyr of him. But he's like,
this is every powerful being in MTG D&D. They just get bored and then something bad happens. We've been here before.
Yeah. He's like, come on, how many fucking orgies can a man go to? You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, I want to go to a book club. The fucking satyrs want to start a book club with me. It's like, can we get like a gardening club going? I like posies, okay? But no, there's nothing. Nobody wants to start a book club with them. Nobody cares. Everybody's like, no, we're gonna fuck. We're gonna go to the demolition derby later, and we're gonna throw a party after.
Well, maybe we'll fuck those trucks.
Yeah, maybe they
we'll
fuck
just do
the
them
trucks.
both at the same time.
Maybe they piss in the keg. Who knows? Anything go for a satyr. So what would a satyr resort to when parties get boring?
You probably go to the city, get a job.
Yeah.
At the Senate.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
They'd graduate from college.
Something blue collar. Yeah, exactly. He would probably drop out of his fraternity and then actually finish his degree and get like a blue collar job.
Yeah. Before trying that, he's gonna try a mega party. He's gonna try a bigger party. So
he's chasing the dragon.
Yeah, he's like, oh, man, parties, they just didn't do it for me anymore. So satyrs have something called the Bacchaea. The Bacchaea is kind of like the Rollick Nights that they host in human cities, but it's the no holds barred version. It's not the clean and fun we're recruiting version. It's the hey, let's fuck up our lives version.
Okay.
It's the let's get arrested version of the party.
Okay.
So they're hardcore celebrations of ritual madness that happen only in the Skola Valley, where satyrs are from. Bacchaea often begin pleasantly enough, but quickly descend into defilement, sacrifice, and violence done by those who hold the most power. So it's like, it's not just fucking anymore. It's like killing and sacrificing, and whoever's the strongest comes out on top. It's the Purge, I guess. I've never seen the movies, but I've heard things compared to it a lot.
I'm pretty sure The Purge has at least one girl gets Eiffel Towered in the film.
Okay.
I mean, good. I haven't seen it either, but I would assume this is how it would go. It's like you and your boy would be Eiffel Towering another goat lady, and then just be like, what if we just fucking killed her? And it's like, yeah, okay. And then you do that, and then everybody starts killing each other, and then fucking as well. That's what I'm understanding this party is like.
Yeah, that's it. So it's a festival, I guess, or I don't know if it starts as like a normal party and it descends into Bacchaea, or if it's like a scheduled thing. Like, hey, we're having Bacchaea next week. Make sure to bring a couple extra pairs of underwear.
Oh yeah, bring literally all of your socks.
Oh, you rabble rouser!
So it was during all this sock tossing that Xenagos would find his planeswalker spark. So, like we always say, like for a lot of the other planeswalkers, it usually comes through trauma of some sort. So I like to think that Xenagos was like, oh, I'm just gonna go like between rounds with a couple lady satyrs. He's like, oh, I'm just gonna go rinse up, don't mind me. And he grabs a washcloth and he like wipes his face, and the girl's like, no, that's one of my socks, and he's like just he's wiping it on his face. Oh, God, no. And it's so traumatic for him to have a splooge on his face that his planeswalker spark ignites and he can suddenly travel the multiverse.
If you had like a societal orgy, how could you have gone this long without like one nut-related accident? This is his first one.
Have you guys ever seen the video of like the porn camera operator getting too close and the guy nuts and he misses the girl and gets the camera operator on the face? And he's like, ah!
There's another one that I saw where there's like a guy below the girl. It's like a sandwich sort of scenario, and the guy standing up in back nuts first and goes like literally overshoots the entire woman's body and comes on the other guy's face like directly. Like nice. A sniper, like over her shoulder.
I would think that the
Lore Boys canon, that's what happened to Xenagos to ignite his planeswalker spark.
It was the 3-point nut, basically, just from.
I would think it's like the bloodbath and things like that, but I don't know. Maybe it's the splooge.
Maybe it's the 3-point nut. Who knows?
There's your episode title right there.
Yeah. I already wrote it down. So whatever caused it, he finds his planeswalker spark during this ritual celebration called Bakea.
Okay.
So he has the abilities of a planeswalker now, and I guess for anyone who hasn't listened to our other Magic the Gathering episodes, a planeswalker, like we said, Magic the Gathering is set across a multiverse of planes. A planeswalker is someone who could travel between those kind of at will. They just like summon the magic and they can open portals to different dimensions.
Oh, what if he planeswalked over to Phyrexia and then tried to have like a bone horror orgy? Like that would probably be a little bit more extreme for his boredom, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe he did at some point. Maybe cool. Had a metal fetish for a while.
Lore Boys canon. He could now market the Satyr orgies to various other planes, thus broadening the amount of partners that he could have.
Yeah, exactly, and the number of stubs that the Satyrs could recruit, right?
Oh yeah, I forgot about the slavery.
So that's exactly what he does. He takes advantage of the opportunity. He frolics among the multiverse. He travels from plane to plane. He engages in the hottest orgies that his planeswalker powers would get him access to. He kind of has like the VIP card for the seediest clubs now, and he can get into all the back rooms. So he's just going from plane to plane, just still orgying, But after a while, he becomes despondent once more.
Oh my God, there's just no satisfying this guy.
Like literally, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in the grand scheme of things, he decides he's insignificant. He's seen the multiverse. He's like, what is one satyr from the plane of Theros in relation to all this infinite infinities? That was hard to say.
Infinite infinities?
Not that hard to say. So even the gods he grew up knowing were meaningless outside of his home plane of Theros. He'd always known Heliod and Perforos, and he's like, those guys are really powerful, right? And then he travels outside of Theros, and everyone's like, who the fuck is Heliod? He's like, what do you mean, God among gods? They're like, you mean Zeus? And he was like, no, it can't be. So he goes back to Theros, and he's got a plan. He's making for himself some ambitions. He decides to swing that big dick planeswalker energy around and summons a bunch of eldritch forces to attack the police of Theros. So he's like, phase 1 of his plan is to attack all the major cities in his home plane. Because he's
that sucks. That's a terrible plan.
He's like, you know what? Misdirection, baby. So he's a planeswalker, and we've mentioned it on other episodes before, but planeswalkers can summon monsters from other planes to like fight for them.
You, the player of Magic, are a planeswalker, right? That's how you summon monsters and shit? Yeah.
Exactly. That's how you canonically summon, play a creature card in Magic the Gathering, is you're summoning it from its home plane.
A portal opens up underneath its feet, and it's on a table surrounded by people who smell like BO.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do. Yeah.
That's it. It was enjoying a nice dinner with its family, and suddenly some it's at a Magic the Gathering convention.
Got its curlers in, brushing its teeth with the mask on, just like
oh shit. So the attack. So he summons a bunch of like eldritch horrors, kind of thing. That's kind of his bag, I guess, his deal.
His new kink.
Yeah. So he was spending some time in the Lovecraft dimension, and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna bring some of these home and attack the cities of my homeland.
Everybody has a tentacle phase, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So
this is long past though.
The attacks themselves become so severe that the gods begin to go blind to the mortal plane because they're getting cut off from their oracles. So these eldritch horrors are killing like the oracles of the gods, and the gods can't see on Theros if their oracles are dead because that's who they see through. So the gods did what any reasonable gods would do. They blamed each other and started conflicts with one another. They're like, "You son of a bitch! My oracle went missing. I blame you, Perforos." And Perforos was like, "What did I do?
I can't see down there either. Why would I kill them both?"
Yeah. So for a while, the gods are kind of like squabbling amongst themselves. They're not paying too much attention to the plane down below. Meanwhile, battles are raging on.
Has literally none of them gotten a prayer from anybody? Just like, "Dear Perforos, please stop these other dimensional horrors from destroying our entire town, especially our oracle. God, please, why did they kill the oracle first?" And it's just like nobody's paying attention.
I think the thing is that nobody knows where the eldritch horrors are coming from.
Oh, okay.
So they're assuming one of the other gods summoned the eldritch horrors because they're like, nobody down there is powerful enough to have summoned so many creatures that could attack so many cities all at once. Xenagos is a powerful dude, as it were. Elspeth, the champion of Heliod, who really deserves her own episode, and one day I'll do an episode for her. She's been reprinted like countless times as a planeswalker, and in like countless different versions. And some of her cards are still some of the more expensive cards in a lot of formats, just because she's really strong. So I'll do an episode on her eventually, maybe my next Magic episode. She's raising an army to defend from the attacks in the name of Heliod. She's like, you know what? I know what's going on here, and I'm pretty powerful myself. So I'm going to raise an army, and I'm going to stop these eldritch horrors wherever they're coming from. So the day before the largest battle of the whole conflict, and she knows it, there's like a huge amount of forces outside. She's like hugely outnumbered. She's like, this is going to be a tough one. She's approached by a seeming ally, Xenagos. So it's kind of like visited in the night. She's in a tent with her lover, and she's like, hey, you know, like big battle coming up tomorrow. He's like, yeah, I better get back to my tent, rest up. She's like, okay, buddy, rest up. So they go the ship away.
They're lovers because they call each other buddy.
Yeah, exactly. I think canonically they become lovers tomorrow after the battle, or they profess their love for each other tomorrow after the battle.
I thought the love would have drawn in. Sorry about that.
Drawn in a cat who would step on the keyboard and potentially end the recording for us.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn the keyboard off. I thought the lovers would have drawn in Xenagos, where he just like Kramer just like barged through the door, just like, you guys having sex in here?
Yeah. No. So Xenagos kind of shows up and he kind of just like walks in with his big erection, and it's like, hey, how's it going?
It would poke through the tent flap first, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. It splits the flap for him.
Yeah. And then push the flap out of the way, and he would walk in himself.
Satyrs canonically are blind to tent flaps, and so they just press their erection up against the tent wall, and they walk sideways along it until they find the flap. And then they let
I'd see like a fist-sized indent just like dragging around the canvas of your tent.
Oh, it's Satyrs here.
Yeah.
If you think of like a strong man, like I think for us, he would enter a room chest first. But a satyr always enters dick first.
Right? Dick first, yeah. So Xenagos goes to Elspeth, and he's like, hey, crazy situation out there, huh? Pretty crazy that all these eldritch abominations have showed up at our doorstep, huh? Elspeth is like, yeah, it sucks. I gotta go fight with them tomorrow. He's like, oh, no way, you're gonna fight them? Wow, that sounds tough. You know, if it were me, I wouldn't fight them.
I'd fuck
them. I would just drown them. And she's like, It's like, drown them? What do you mean? And he's like, well, there's this big dam. If you break the dam, you probably just drown them all and you wouldn't even have to fight them. She's like, you know what? That might actually work. So she tries it. Next morning, bright and early, she breaks the dam, and sure enough, floods the plain where all the Eldritch horrors are gathered, and they seem to all just disappear. They all die. They all go away. That was weird, but it sure did work. So what do? We party. That's what people do, right? After a big fight. So everybody's partying. Everybody's having a good time after the battle. Like I said, Elspeth professes her love for someone who we can get into next time.
Or he can get into her up high, boys.
If you know what I mean. I'm not even sure if it's a he, but
oh really?
I'm not sure. I'm not saying it's an LGBT relationship.
Scissors? Right-handed scissors? What is it?
It's upside down right-handed.
Upside down right-handed scissors? Oh hell yeah! There's a little bit of satyr spirit in all of us.
So with Xenagos in town, the wine does flow. We got a satyr throwing the party for us, boys. Like it's going to be a fucking rager, right? And it's unclear how exactly it happens, but Lore Boys canon is that Xenagos throws such a rager that he earns himself enough worship that night to ascend to godhood. He's basically like, yeah, he's like going from like drunk guy to drunk guy, be like, yeah, it was my idea to drown all the Eldritch horrors. It was like, oh, dude, that's fucking awesome. I worship you, man.
Xenagos is a fucking legend.
No, this fucking guy. This guy deserves a fucking place in the pantheon of gods, man. Like, oh man, thank you so much. You really mean that, man? Could you sign this? Everyone's
like canonize me basically to become like a party saint.
It's a change.org petition, and just like, get your email for that, man. That means so much to me.
Stand atop our mountain of empty wine cans or whatever you consume wine in.
Oh, he'd have like the wizard scepter of PBR Bud Light cans. All of them have been shotgunned.
Yeah. So he's a god now. He ventures to Nyx. He joins his godfellows. Elspeth, for her part, she wakes up with quite the hangover. She's covered in the blood of her now dead lover, and she's banished by her god Heliod for her part in Xenagos' ascension. So she wakes up from one hell of a party. Doesn't remember anything. She was possessed by Xenagos at some point in the night, murdered her lover. And she wakes up with her god angry at her. And he's like, what the fuck did you do last night? You realize there's a fucking new god on my doorstep now? I'm the god of gods, okay? I gotta fucking intake this guy. You know how much paperwork that is? What the fuck happened last night? Yeah.
Polo shirt.
Yeah. And she's just like, I don't fucking remember a thing. God, what happened last night? And she's just like in the middle of the desert. So he banishes her. He's like, get the fuck out of here. You killed your lover. You're devastated. I blame you for all of this. So Xenagos, however, had sated his ambition. He'd obtained a place in the pantheon. He'd become the god of revels. So he's the one to mirror Dionysus.
Oh, okay,
I like that you use the word sated, like to satisfy. I guess satyr, that's where it comes from, huh?
I would assume that's where sated comes from, but I don't know.
Or satyr comes from being satisfied.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure
I
both.
think satyr would probably be first because English would have taken the roots from Greek.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, satisfied could be a Greek-rooted word.
Yeah,
and they could have named these mythical creatures who often sated themselves after the Greek sated or whatever.
They're satyrs.
Truth is, we don't know.
No.
Truth is, we're dumb.
And the etymology of dumb is Lore Boys.
Yeah. So he becomes a god, but it'd be short-lived. He finds it hard to maintain his godly form. He ends up enslaving the Nyxborn, which are creatures born in the realm of Nyx, the night sky, basically. He drains their power for himself. This leads to Nyx's night sky darkening, as like stars wink out, I guess. And chaos spreads across the plane of Theros. But I think we'll talk about his downfall next time, because I think we're at a good point here. Yeah, so I think next episode I'll talk about Elspeth, who kind of plays a part in taking him down and regaining her honor in the eyes of Heliod. She's like a really interesting character too. Like I said, there's a lot of story there, and it might tie us back to the Phyrexian invasion. Peter, you kind of joked about the Phyrexians, but they're no joke. Okay, Theros did suffer at the hands of the invasion bloc. You know, the Phyrexian horrors did come to Theros, at least to some extent. So maybe we'll get into all that. Elspeth, as a little teaser, is actually from a plane entirely ruled by Phyrexians. So she was born as a slave to Phyrexian horrors.
Oh, okay. Someone's got a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, right?
She sure does end up with a lot of slavery. She got taken over by Xenagos, and now she was a slave to the Phyrexians. She just seems rather unfortunate in general.
Yeah.
She's like Han's mole, man. Just like constantly unlucky.
But that's a topic for another episode, I think. So I've been your host, Ethan Palmer. I hope you liked the show. If you did, let me know. You can let me know at Ethan the Deadman or at loreboyspodcast@gmail.com or contact at loreboys.com. You guys, where can people find you on the internet?
Go to the Discord. Check our About section on the loreboys.com, and you should be able to find our Discord invite. Come hang out there. That's where we hang out with our community and chat with them. I was streaming some World of Warcraft today, doing some ridiculous XP farms that should not be allowed in the game. You
can find us for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they're patching out exploits in WoW Classic like that because they didn't back in the day, right? So
yeah,
it's hashtag no changes more because it's cheaper to not change things rather than they shouldn't change things.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
That's a topic for another day. Yeah.
I can be EXP farmed at Pete O'Donohue on Twitter or at Loreboys Podcast on Instagram. If you're perusing the loreboys.com, there is a make your own merch section. There's 2-piece transparent pictures up right now that you can just print out and do whatever you want with. Please suggest more. There are hundreds of images and a bunch of stupid fucking meme. Okay, bunch of images on the website, theloreboys.com. Discord is shitting its pants right now, so we need to kill this episode as quickly as we can before we drop again.
It's dropped like 3 times, and if you haven't noticed this far, then we've done our job editing. But
theloreboys.com, at Loreboys Podcast on Instagram, loreboyspodcast@gmail.com, patreon.com/theloreboys. Ethan, Loreboys Prime, what do you want?
Loreboys Prime, don't trust Patreon. As everyone knows, we've always had a sex cult at the Loreboys headquarters. The good news for you listeners is that auditions are now open. That's right. If you join Loreboys Prime for $69.69 a month,
nice.
We will accept your audition tapes to the Loreboys sex cult. Of course, if you just send us a sex tape of you, we won't watch it unless you're part of a Loreboys Prime. So send us $69.69 in the mail. Please, unmarked bills only, and by unmarked I mean not tainted.
Erectile dysfunction, erectile no problem. Just have a cup of satyr blood, and you'll be hard for a whole month.
Exactly.
Get ready for that 3-point nut.
Yeah, or Jamie blood. Yeah. So I guess that's a Loreboys 3-point nut. Ow!
From half court.